There is a quiet truth, ancient and luminous, that sits in the center of your being, waiting not to be found, but to be felt. It whispers through the silence, beneath every desire, every longing, every restless movement of the heart. You are already connected to what you seek. We have been taught to believe that we must reach, grasp, strive, that what we desire is out there, separate, distant, withheld, until we prove ourselves worthy. But this is the grand illusion, the veil that keeps us running in circles while the treasure lies buried within the space of our own soul. Desire itself is not the problem. Desire is sacred. It is the movement of life through you, the echo of source calling you to remember your creative power. But it is only when desire becomes a declaration of lack that it turns into suffering. You do not attract what you chase in desperation. You attract what you are. The Tao Te Ching tells us, the more you chase after it, the more it eludes you. And so we must reverse the direction of our seeking, not outward toward outcomes, but inward toward essence. The most powerful way to attract what you desire is not to demand it from the universe, but to align with it. To become so attuned to the frequency of your desire that you and it are indistinguishable. You do not need to force the flower to bloom. You only need to become the fertile ground in which blooming is inevitable. And so the work is not in the world. The work is in the inner space. The work is to remember that your energy, your intention, your vibration, your presence is the prayer that life answers. The universe responds not to your words, but to your being. If you want love, become love. If you want peace, be peace. If you want abundance, walk in the awareness that you are already sourced by the infinite. Do not beg life to give you what you already carry. Instead, live from the truth that it is already done, already here, already within. This is not about pretending, it is about remembering. You are not a beggar before the divine, you are an emanation of it. You are not a fragmented soul hoping to be completed. You are wholeness in motion, disguised in human form for a brief, beautiful moment. The ego will always speak in terms of scarcity. I need this to be happy. I must have that to feel enough. But the soul speaks in stillness. I am already home. I am already whole. I am already one with all that is. And from that wholeness you attract effortlessly, not by grasping, not by pleading, but by radiating. Just as the sun does not try to shine, it simply is you too must become the light you seek. This is the sacred reversal. This is the divine paradox. When you no longer need your desire to make you feel whole, it flows to you with grace. When you release your grip on the outcome begins to dance its way toward you, unforced and unresisted. You were never meant to chase the river. You were meant to flow with it. So ask yourself gently and honestly, what is the feeling I believe this desire will give me? And then be that feeling now, not through imagination, but through embodiment. Feel it in your breath. Speak it in your words. Move with it in your body. Live it as if it were already true, because in the higher planes of consciousness, it already is. You see, manifestation is not magic. It is law, spiritual law. You become what you dwell upon. You magnetize not what you want, but what you are. The universe does not respond to need, it responds to alignment. This is why healing is not optional. Until you heal the part of you that believes you are unworthy, undeserving, disconnected, you will keep chasing desires from a place of fear, not from a place of creation. But when you remember your divinity, when you return to the sacred awareness that you are already one with Source, you become a clear channel through which life can pour itself into form. You stop pleading and you start allowing. You stop striving and you start trusting. And in that trust, all things are added unto you. Not because you earned them through struggle, but because you aligned with the truth of who you are, a creator, not a victim, a vessel of love, not a seeker of scraps, a field of infinite possibility, not a prisoner of circumstance. Jesus said, ask believing that you have already received, and it will be yours. This is not metaphor, this is energetic truth. When you embody the feeling of the wish fulfilled, you collapse time. You bring the end into the now. You create a resonance that calls your desire home. But how can you believe you've received when the world tells you it's not yet here? You must become still. Still enough to hear the voice beneath the noise. Still enough to feel the hum of your being beyond the opinions of others. Still enough to know that you are not the appearance, you are the essence. You are not the lack, you are the light. You are not separate from what you want. You are the field in which it is meant to arise. This is why gratitude is so powerful, not as a ritual, but as a state. When you dwell in the vibration of gratitude, you declare to the universe, I trust, I believe, I know it is already done. And the universe, ever obedient to the frequencies of the heart, responds accordingly. Stop waiting for evidence. Be the evidence. Stop asking if it's possible. Be the possibility embodied. Stop doubting the path. Walk it. Walk as if the answer is already yes. Speak as if you are already heard. Love as if the outcome no longer matters. This is the shift from ego to essence, from fear to faith, from lack to abundance. And when you live in this way, your desires become not burdens, but blessings. Not chains, but channels. They guide you not away from your wholeness, but deeper into it. Every true desire is the voice of God within you, calling you home. But you must learn to listen not to the shouting of the world, but to the whisper of the soul. And the soul will always say, you are already enough. You are already free. You are already that which you seek. So let go. Let go of the need to prove, to earn, to chase. Let go of the belief that you are incomplete. Let go of the illusion that your worth is tied to outcomes. And in that letting go, you create space. Space for grace to move, space for the unseen to become seen, space for the infinite to flow into the finite. You are not here to struggle your way to joy. You are here to remember that joy is your natural state. You are not here to compete for love. You are here to be love. You are not here to search for truth. You are here to embody it. And from this place of sacred embodiment, all that is meant for you will come. Not because you chased it, but because you became it. And that is the most powerful way to attract what you desire. And so you breathe, not to survive, but to awaken. You breathe to enter the temple of the present, where the sacred resides not in things, but in being. For every breath is a bridge connecting the visible to the invisible, the form to the formless, the human to the divine. When you breathe consciously, you are no longer separate from life. You become its pulse, its rhythm, its living prayer. This is not a technique. It is a remembering, a return to what the trees have always known, to what the rivers have always whispered, that there is no striving in alignment. There is no rush in truth. The acorn does not chase the oak. It surrenders to its becoming. And so must you. Not by adding more to yourself, but by shedding the noise that was never yours to carry. You were not born to wear the heavy garments of other people's expectations. You were not sculpted by spirit to walk hunched beneath the burden of not enough. No, beloved soul, you were born naked in truth, wrapped in the light of being, and the world was your mirror until you forgot to see yourself in it. But forgetting is not failure. Forgetting is part of the sacred rhythm, the ebb before the flow, the silence before the song. Even the sun disappears so it can rise anew. Even the stars are hidden in daylight, though they are never gone. So to your power. It may feel hidden beneath years of fear, beneath layers of identity, beneath masks you've worn so long they felt like skin. But power, true power, is never lost. It waits. Silently, lovingly, within you. And to reclaim it, you must stop searching for it in the applause, in the approval, in the accumulation of things. You must dare to be still long enough to hear what cannot be spoken, to see what cannot be touched. Stillness is not emptiness, it is fullness without form. It is where the soul lives when the world grows loud. And when you drop beneath the noise, when you soften the grip of thought and melt into the present moment, you do not become less, you become infinite. For in that space you remember, you are not the doer, you are the instrument. And life is the music. Do you not see? Your desires are not personal whims. They are seeds planted by the infinite. And your surrender is the sunlight that brings them to life. Your trust is the water. Your alignment is the soil, but you cannot force a seed to bloom through fear. You cannot birth abundance from a place of grasping. You cannot welcome miracles while clinging to control. Release is not giving up, it is giving over, giving your small self back to the vastness it came from. It is letting go of your timetable so that you may enter into divine timing, which is never late, never early, and always right on time for the unfolding of your highest good. The mind will resist this. It will protest with its timelines and its measurements. It will say, show me results. But the soul has no use for clocks or calendars. The soul only knows this moment, this breath, this eternal now. And so the invitation is not to plan more, but to trust deeper. Not to push harder, but to allow more completely. Not to figure it all out, but to fall into the arms of the mystery and let it carry you. Because when you finally let go of needing to know, something miraculous happens. You are guided by a wisdom far greater than intellect. You are moved by the current of the Tao, by the flow of divine intelligence that spins planets and forms galaxies, and that same intelligence lives in you. It is not somewhere else. It is not reserved for the chosen. It is the essence of your very breath, the light behind your eyes, the silence that has watched every rise and fall of your story without judgment. You are never truly alone. You are never truly separate. You are never truly lacking. You are the presence in which all things arise. And from that presence, life responds to you, not based on your fear, but based on your frequency. You do not attract what you pretend to be. You attract what your being radiates. And so let your being speak now, not through words, but through vibration. Let your presence say, I am ready. Let your stillness say, I trust. Let your surrender say, it is already done. Because it is. Everything you desire already exists in a dimension that your faith unlocks. Not faith in a concept, but faith in your oneness with all things. When you live from that oneness, there is nothing to attain, only everything to express. You become a vessel through which peace moves, through which love dances, through which abundance flows without fear of depletion. This is the true power of attraction, not the magnet of want, but the radiance of being. And that radiance is already in you. You do not have to rush. The soul never hurries. There is nothing urgent in the divine rhythm of becoming. Even the stars do not burn with haste, they shine, because it is their nature. And you too, when you release the grasping, will shine not because you try, but because you are. You are the answer wrapped in skin, the prayer that was never spoken but always felt, the embodiment of a timeless yes echoing through the cosmos. The most powerful way to attract what you desire is to stop running toward it and instead turn inward and recognize yourself as the one it was seeking all along. Desire is the soul speaking in its native tongue. But when filtered through the mind's fear, it becomes distortion. The mind will tell you that you must earn it, prove it, chase it. But the soul whispers, become it and it shall come. Can you hear the difference? One leads to exhaustion. The other leads to revelation. And it is in this revelation that you are already one with all that is beautiful, true, and needed, that attraction becomes inevitable. You become the lighthouse rather than the searchlight. You no longer cry out for your dreams, you receive them as old friends arriving at last. There is a sacred geometry to this, a divine symmetry. When your inner world aligns with truth, the outer world reflects that truth in form. But to live in that symmetry, you must trust the unseen as more real than the seen. This requires courage, not the kind that fights, but the kind that surrenders. The courage to wait without anxiety, to walk without knowing, to rest when the world says run. To be who you are when no one is watching and still know that you are enough. There will be days when the evidence disappears, when doubt thickens like fog, when silence feels like absence. But let that silence deepen your listening. Let it teach you to feel beyond hearing, to see without sight, to know without proof. Because the universe is not ignoring you, it is preparing you, molding you into the shape of what you asked for, stretching you so that when the blessing arrives, you will not shrink in its presence. And so you must become worthy not in action, but in awareness, not by climbing higher, but by sinking deeper into who you are. You are not here to perform worthiness. You are here to remember that you were born of love, for love into love. And from love, all things flow. So bless your desire not as a gap, but as guidance, not as something missing, but as something moving you back to the remembrance of who you truly are. Do not diminish your longings. They are not weakness. They are the winds that carry you into expansion, but let those winds be sacred. Let them come not from the hurricane of lack, but from the soft breeze of truth whispering, you are ready now. Ready not to take, but to receive. Ready not to convince, but to allow. Ready not to manifest from strain, but from surrender. The old way was effort. The new way is embodiment. And embodiment begins the moment you stop treating your desires as distant and begin living as if they are already part of you. Not because you are delusional, but because you are divine. And the divine does not chase, it expresses. So express now. Express the love you crave. Express the abundance you seek. Express the peace you long for. Let it pour through your voice, your silence, your gaze, your touch. Let your life become the answer to your own deepest yearning. Because this is the secret the sages knew, the truth the mystics lived, the way the masters walked. What you desire is not something you attract by reaching outward. It is something you magnetize by coming home to yourself. And so we keep walking barefoot through the sacred landscape of your becoming, not toward a destination, but toward a deeper embodiment of the truth that has always lived within you. You see, when you no longer separate yourself from what you seek, you cease to be a seeker and become a vessel. The vessel does not pursue the water it opens to receive it. The flower does not command the sun, it turns its face toward the light, trusting the warmth will come. And you too must become receptive, not passive, but available. This availability is not weakness. It is the most courageous thing a soul can do in a world built on striving. To say, I am here, I am open. I trust the timing of the stars and the wisdom of the soil. This is the posture of one who has remembered their origin. You were not born from chaos. You were born from sacred intention. The very atoms in your body were once inside stars. The same intelligence that orchestrates the movement of galaxies beats your heart. This isn't poetry, it is physics. And yet, it is poetry too, because the universe is not just structured with law, but saturated with beauty. Your desires are not accidents. They are coordinates in the cosmic dance. They are not random, they are revelations. Each one a thread pulling you deeper into the tapestry of your becoming, but only when you stop trying to own them and begin to honor them. To honor a desire is to no longer worship it as your savior. It is to kneel before it, not in desperation, but in reverence. It is to say, thank you for revealing to me what I am ready to embody. Thank you for showing me who I must become in order to receive you fully. Because the receiving is never about the thing, it is about the transformation. The path is not given to you so you may arrive somewhere new. It is given to you so you may become someone deeper. And often the desire is delayed not because you are unworthy, but because you are sacred. Because life knows that to hand you the fullness too soon would be to place a flame in hands not yet ready to carry the fire. So it waits, not as punishment, but as preparation. It waits until your energy matches your vision, until your being sings the same note as you're asking, until you stop demanding miracles and start embodying the miraculous. And when that day comes, and you will not need to chase the desire, because it will recognize you. It will come to you as a friend, long expected. It will say, I've been walking toward you the entire time. I was never lost. You were simply becoming ready. This readiness is not something you build. It is something you allow. It is not forceful. It is faithful. It does not hustle. It harmonizes. It does not manipulate. It magnetizes. And it begins when you stop looking to the outer world to mirror what only your inner world can initiate. Because nothing comes to you that does not first come through you. So clear the channel. Cleanse the lens. Let go of the clutter, mental, emotional, energetic, that keeps your signal from being heard by the intelligence that governs all things. You cannot hold on to fear and still call in abundance. You cannot cling to control and still open to grace. You cannot resent the present and still expect a sacred future. Life will always meet you at the level of your surrender. It will not bypass your resistance. It will not fight through your fear. It waits like the ocean at the shoreline for the moment you decide to step in fully. And when you do, when you release the tightness in your chest and exhale the belief that you must do this all alone, the flow begins. It doesn't rush in, it rises. It rises in your voice, in your silence, in your simple presence, and your life, without warning, begins to echo the song of your soul. Not because you found the secret, but because you finally stopped resisting it. This is the deepest magic, not in casting spells, but in casting off illusions. Not in asking the world to change, but in awakening to the truth that you are the change. You are not here to chase. You are here to remember. And when you remember, the whole universe remembers you. Then let us stay with this sacred current, allowing each word to arise not from thought, but from the eternal stillness that lives beneath all seeking. For we are not building something new, we are unearthing what was always buried in the silence beneath your striving. As you release the need to prove, to predict, to possess, what emerges is not emptiness, it is space. And in that space, life breathes again. Not the breath of survival, but the breath of creation. You become a womb for possibility, a cradle for the unseen. And it is there, in that surrendered openness, that the seeds of your deepest desires begin to take root. But listen closely, this unfolding is not meant to be rushed. For the universe in all its infinite intelligence does not hurry the sunrise. It does not panic when the tide recedes. It does not doubt that spring will follow winter, and neither should you. The most powerful way to attract what you desire is to trust that it is already on its way, and to live as if you knew this with every fiber of your being. Because when you live in this way, you do not wait, you prepare. You do not beg, you bless. You do not chase, you consecrate the present as holy ground. This is the vibration that shifts reality, not just for you, but through you. When your energy becomes a sanctuary, life responds not as a reluctant giver, but as a joyful partner. It says, here is one who remembers, here is one who trusts, here is one who is ready, not in need, but in knowing. And in this knowing, you stop measuring your worth by outcomes. You stop tying your joy to achievements. You stop bargaining with the moment, saying, I'll be grateful when instead you declare, I am grateful now, and therefore, I am already rich. This shift is not subtle, it is seismic. It is the axis on which the law of attraction truly turns, not by willing the world to change, but by becoming the kind of being who no longer needs the world to change in order to feel whole. You were never meant to manipulate reality. You were meant to resonate with it. Like a tuning fork calling forth its match, your frequency invites form to follow. Not because you forced it, but because you became a clear note, unwavering, true, and filled with the music of your soul. And so you must tend to your frequency as a sacred garden. You must nourish it with silence, protect it from the weeds of comparison, water it with compassion. Let sunlight in through joy, and let the rains come as they will, knowing even the storm carries nutrients. Because nothing is ever wasted in the economy of spirit. Not the delay, not the detour, not even the ache of waiting. All of it is part of the alchemy. All of it is preparing you to carry what you asked for without collapsing under its weight. What you desire is not being withheld, it is being prepared in you. You think you're waiting for it to arrive, but in truth, it is waiting for you to become the one who no longer needs it, only honors it. And in that sacred maturity, in that quiet rootedness, the desire that once felt like longing now feels like returning. You recognize it not as a gift from outside yourself, but as a mirror of your own expansion. It was never separate. It was always a reflection. And so you rest not in resignation, but in revelation. You rest in the knowing that there is nothing to chase, only everything to welcome. And when your energy says, I am available, the doors you once banged upon gently open. Not because you pushed, but because you finally aligned with the rhythm of their unlocking. You have not been led here to find something new. You have been brought here to remember something eternal. That the most powerful way to attract what you desire is not by becoming more, it is by becoming less entangled. Less caught in the illusion that you are separate, broken, or lacking. Less hypnotized by the noise that says you must earn your way into love, into peace, into wholeness, because you already are. And the journey, this beautiful, aching, radiant journey, has never been about acquisition. It has always been about revelation. It has always been about uncovering the you that was buried under expectation, shame, comparison, and time. You were never meant to create your worth. You were only meant to remember it. And when you do, when you sit quietly in the garden of your own being and recognize that the soil beneath you is sacred, the air around you divine, the breath within you holy, then desire no longer feels like longing. It feels like alignment, like truth rising into form, like the invisible becoming visible because you no longer block its light with your doubt. You are the opening through which your own destiny flows. You are the space in which the infinite remembers itself. And the more you know this not as an idea but as a knowing felt in your bones, the less effort becomes necessary. You do not need to wrestle blessings into existence. You do not need to shout into the void. You only need to trust the intelligence that dreamed you into form. That same intelligence already knows your path. It has prepared every step, every meeting, every miracle, not as a reward, but as a reflection. A reflection of the vibration you carry, the embodiment you become, the truth you dare to live out loud. So bless your life, not when it changes, but now. Bless the space between desire and arrival. Bless the not yet, the becoming, the unfolding. For this is where the real transformation lives, not in what you receive, but in who you become while receiving it. And when the thing you desire finally meets you in the field of form, you will not fall to your knees in surprise. You will smile softly. You will exhale knowing it was always on its way. You will say, of course, because it will feel not like winning a prize, but like recognizing a friend you've always known. This is the grace of true attraction, not in the chase, but in the communion, not in the force, but in the flow, not in earning it, but in being it. And so, beloved soul, walk lightly now. Walk not with urgency, but with reverence. Let every step be a prayer, every breath an offering. Let your presence say what your words cannot. Let your life become the embodiment of the very thing you once thought you had to pursue. Because the most powerful way to attract what you desire is to live as if it is already yours, because it is. Not in some far-off future, but in this breath. Not in some separate place, but in this stillness. Not from the outside in, but from the inside out. You are not becoming. You are remembering. You are not reaching. You are radiating. You are not waiting. You are welcoming, and all that is aligned with the truth of your being is already on its way, because it recognizes you, because it belongs to you, because it is you. And now, there is no power greater in the universe than the one you already carry within. It is not waiting in the clouds, nor hidden in the stars, nor buried in someone else's approval. It lives in the silence beneath your thoughts, in the sacred space between your breaths, in the stillness that has always walked beside you. And yet, because it is so still, so quiet, so utterly unforceful, we often overlook it, chasing thunder instead of learning to listen to the whisper. To manifest is not to conjure. It is not a performance. It is not a technique of the mind, nor a trick of fate. To manifest is to allow to open the inner floodgates and remember that what you've been seeking was never withheld. It is not about convincing the universe to give. It is about becoming still enough to receive what has already been given. The first and last step is the same: surrender. Not surrender as in defeat, but surrender as in returning to the knowing that you are not a beggar in this life, but a beloved co-creator, sculpting reality not through will, but through alignment. We live in a world addicted to effort. Push harder, strive more, fight for your place. But manifestation is not a fight. It is a song, a melody between your essence and the source that breathed you into being. It does not come through noise, but through attunement. Like a radio dial gently turned until the signal becomes clear, you manifest not by shouting into the void, but by matching your inner vibration to the truth of what you seek. This is not wishful thinking. It is sacred remembrance. When you truly desire something not from lack, but from truth, you are not creating a new reality. You are stepping into the one that has always been waiting for your awareness to catch up. The soul does not speak in the language of want. It speaks in the language of is. I am love. I am peace. I am abundance. It does not say, I will be. It already is. And when you align with that frequency, not through effort, but through stillness, you become a match to the very thing your heart longs for. The key is this: you must become the feeling of what you want before the form arrives, because the universe does not respond to your words, it responds to your energy. It mirrors your inner state. If you say, I want, you vibrate with absence. If you say, I am, you vibrate with presence, and it is presence that manifests miracle. So how do you begin? First, you stop. You stop chasing, pleading, performing. You pause long enough to hear the quiet yes already pulsing through your being. You drop into the now not as a tactic, but as a homecoming. Because the now is the only point of power. It is where all manifestation begins and ends. If you are thinking about the future, you are not manifesting, you are projecting. If you are worrying, you are not creating, you are resisting. Manifestation happens only in presence, because presence is where God lives. And God is not a separate being deciding what you can and cannot have. God is the vibration of unconditional yes. A divine echo saying, as you believe, so shall it be. Not believe as in wish, but believe as in embody, as in become. To manifest instantly is to collapse the illusion of time. It is to say, I already am. It is to feel with every fiber of your soul that the thing you desire is not coming, it has come. And in that certainty, you draw the form into your experience like a magnet, recalling a forgotten piece of itself. But you cannot fake this. The universe does not respond to pretending. It responds to being. If you do not believe you are worthy, no vision board can save you. If you do not feel peace within, no amount of external rearranging will bring you peace. This is the paradox. When you no longer need the thing, you become the thing. When you no longer seek, you see. So the practice is not in visualizing harder. It is in clearing what blocks your natural knowing. It is in dissolving the veil of the ego, the one that says you are separate, small, unworthy. The ego says, I must earn it. The soul says, I already am it. And the moment you believe the soul, the world rearranges itself. You were never meant to chase manifestations like trophies. You were meant to become so aligned, so filled with the vibration of your truth that reality could not help but echo it back. You don't manifest by wanting. You manifest by remembering your divine identity, remembering your inner wholeness, remembering that nothing outside you completes you because you are already complete. This is the essence of instant manifestation, not that things appear from thin air, but that the inner shift is so total, so immediate, that the outer world rushes to match it. Because the world does not create your experience. Your consciousness does. When you change your consciousness, you change your life. And changing your consciousness does not mean acquiring new thoughts. It means releasing the false ones. It means stripping away the stories that say you are not enough, not ready, not capable. It means standing in the blazing truth of your being and saying, I am abundant, I am love, I am peace. Not because the world reflects it yet, but because the soul does. And the soul's reflection is the only one that matters. Everything else will follow. This is not about denial. It is about declaration. You are not ignoring reality. You are choosing which reality to energize. Because energy flows where attention goes. And when you place your attention not on the problem, but on the presence within you, you open the door for a higher reality to emerge. You begin to live not from memory, but from intention. Not from survival, but from spirit. Not from fear, but from truth. And the truth is, you are powerful beyond measure. You are the breath of God in motion. You are the echo of infinity wrapped in skin. You are the cause, not the effect. You are the creator, not the victim. And the moment you own that, not intellectually but vibrationally, manifestation becomes not a goal, but a natural consequence of your being. You become a living, breathing yes. You radiate what you once tried to attract. You shine what you once tried to seek, and all things begin to move toward you, not because you chased them, but because you became the space in which they belong. That is how you manifest anything, beloved. Not by effort, not by striving, but by becoming so aligned with the truth of who you are that the universe has no choice but to say yes, because it always was. And now you are. You were not sent here to master manifestation. You were sent here to master remembrance. And when you remember who you are, manifestation is no longer something to figure out. It becomes your natural state. Like a flower leaning toward the sun without ever needing to ask how. Like waves reaching the shore without ever doubting their path. Like the breath entering your lungs without a thought, without resistance, without delay. This is the dance of divine alignment, effortless, pure, inevitable. And yet, because we have been taught to forget, to strive, to doubt our own sacredness, we create unnecessary delay. Not because the universe says no, but because we hesitate to say yes to ourselves. We hesitate to trust our worthiness. We believe the lie that says joy must be earned, love must be deserved, and abundance must be justified. But the soul doesn't know justification. It only knows presence. It only knows yes. The more you step into that yes, the more the barriers begin to dissolve, not because you fought them, but because you no longer believed in them. To manifest is not to demand that life respond to your ego's timeline. It is to fall into such deep harmony with the pulse of existence that your desires are no longer separate from your path. They are your path. They are the breadcrumbs leading you home. And what is home? It is not a place, but a vibration, a frequency of fullness, of peace, of allowing. And when you live from that frequency, everything you've ever asked for begins to arrive, not as a prize, but as a reflection of the truth you finally stop resisting. This is the law beneath all laws. You do not get what you want, you get what you are. If you are radiating lack, you attract lessons to teach you fullness. If you are radiating fear, you attract experiences that call you into love. If you are radiating wholeness, you attract ease, not because the world changed, but because you did. So be bold in your stillness, be powerful in your surrender. Stop micromanaging the sacred. Stop doubting your intuition because it whispers instead of shouts. The soul never yells. It does not beg. It waits with patience deeper than time itself. And the moment you turn your gaze inward and say, I am ready, it rushes to meet you not from somewhere else, but from the center of your being where it's always been. Manifestation is not a race. It is not a contest. It is not about having the loudest vision or the most detailed plan. It is about becoming so anchored in your essence that what is meant for you feels you before it sees you. It senses the opening. It responds to the welcome. It moves toward you because you become a lighthouse, not a searchlight. You're no longer seeking your shining. And in that shining, all things come. Do not ask, how long will it take? That is the voice of time, the voice of doubt. Ask instead, how deeply can I trust? Because trust collapses time. It makes space for the infinite to move. It opens your hands, your heart, your life, so that grace can pour in like water finding its level. You do not need to push the river. You only need to stop building dams with your fear. Let the current carry you. Let the truth hold you. Let the knowing rise without needing to explain why. You were not created to live by logic alone. You were created to be guided by the deeper intelligence that moves the tides, spins the planets, and still makes room for the quiet longing in your chest. That longing is not weakness, it is guidance. It is the divine calling you inward, not to fantasize, but to remember. And what you remember, you become. What you become, you radiate. What you radiate, you receive. This is the sacred cycle of creation. You are not separate from it. You are it. And so the moment arrives, quiet and unseen, where you no longer crave proof of your power, because the proof is in your presence. You no longer scan the horizon for signs, because the sign has become your steady being, unwavering and unshaken. Like a tree rooted in still soil while the winds dance wildly above, you begin to live from the depth, not from the drama. You let the outer world be what it is, while the inner world remains sacred, untouchable, eternal. This is not detachment, it is devotion. Not escape, but elevation. You are not rising above the world in superiority, but descending so deeply into yourself that the world begins to orbit your inner peace. Manifestation then ceases to be about what you can get and becomes about what you can allow through the field of your being. You become not a collector of blessings, but a vessel through which blessings are poured into the fabric of life itself. Feel the shift not as an idea, but as a vibration in your bones. You are no longer asking, what do I need to do? But resting in, who do I need to be? And the answer comes not in a formula, but in a feeling, a soft and steady warmth that tells you, be real, be clear, be open, not perfect, not polished, just transparent enough that the light can pass through. As you live this way, you become the evidence of your own prayers, the mirror of what you once longed for. Others may not understand the source of your radiance, but they feel it. It speaks before you do. It heals before you try. It ripples outward without effort, touching lives not because you tried to change them, but because you were brave enough to become yourself fully. There is a kind of manifestation that requires no visualization, no scripting, no affirming. It arises not from the mind, but from alignment with the sacred rhythm of your life. When you stop trying to mold reality into your image and instead allow the truth of your soul to sculpt the moment, everything begins to arrive not because you chased it, but because you ceased to block it. Even the waiting becomes holy. You realize delay is not denial, it is preparation. The space between desire and form is not a punishment, it is a womb. Something is being shaped in the unseen, and your job is not to rush it, but to trust it, to hold the vibration as tenderly as a mother holds her unborn child, already real, already here, already loved. And as you hold that vibration, you become less interested in appearances and more attuned to essence. You no longer ask for the thing itself, but for the feeling behind it, the peace, the freedom, the joy. And then something miraculous happens. The feeling comes first. And the feeling is the magnet. The form, when it arrives, is just a shadow of what you already carried within. You begin to recognize manifestation not as an achievement, but as a remembering, a return, a subtle, sacred alignment with the pattern that has always been written in your soul. And that pattern does not ask for perfection. It asks for presence, not because you need to deserve it, but because you need to be available for it. Availability is the great secret, not striving, not deserving, just being available to receive what has always belonged to you. Like a radio tuned to the right frequency, your only job is to clear the static, not to make the music, but to hear it, not to force the blessing, but to feel it land. Keep letting go. Let go of the image, let go of the timeline, let go of the story that says you're behind or broken or too late. The soul knows nothing of time, it only knows timing. And when the timing is true, it arrives without effort, without apology, without resistance. And so you begin to sense that what once felt like waiting was never about the world catching up to your desires. It was about your vibration softening enough to hold what was already circling your field. Not withheld, but waiting. Waiting for your readiness, not in action, but in essence. Because the universe does not give according to your effort, it gives according to your resonance. Every moment you spend releasing the need to control, to predict, to force, is a moment of sacred refinement. You are not just becoming a magnet for what you want, you are becoming the space where the divine can move freely, without interference. No longer clogged by conditions, expectations, or the heavy armor of trying to make it happen, you become available, spacious, magnetic in your stillness. And then it happens, subtly at first, a conversation that opens a door, a moment of clarity that changes everything, a feeling of lightness where once there was pressure. These are not coincidences, they are confirmations. The world begins to match your new rhythm because your energy no longer argues with life. You are not wishing, you are not hoping, you are being. Manifestation does not require certainty in the outcome, it requires intimacy with the now. Because the now holds the seed of every future. If you water it with presence, it will bloom without struggle. If you drown it in impatience, it will shrink back into silence. Your attention is the sun, the soil, the sacred nourishment. It tells the universe, I'm here, I'm awake, I'm willing. No one can manifest for you. No technique can substitute for truth. No ritual can replace inner alignment. You must become the clear sky into which your vision can fly. You must become the soft earth into which your dreams can root. You must become the still water in which the image of what you seek can be reflected perfectly, without distortion, without desperation. And this is the shift from seeking to seeing. You are no longer searching for evidence, you are seeing through the eyes of Source. You realize that what you used to call desire was never about getting, but about remembering your capacity to create. It was never about the object, but the opening. Never about the thing, but the truth it called forth in you. You are not here to chase love, you are here to remember you are love. You are not here to accumulate abundance, you are here to recognize that your very breath is evidence of infinite support. You are not here to control life, you are here to dance with it, to let it move through you like wind through an open meadow, unpredictable and perfect. In this awareness, manifestation becomes less about results and more about relationship. Your relationship with yourself, your relationship with the moment, your relationship with the energy you hold between each thought, each step, each silence. That relationship is the real creation. Everything else is just reflection. And if the reflection is cloudy, you do not fix the mirror, you cleanse the source. You return again and again, not to what you want, but to who you are while wanting it. Because the wanting is holy when it is not born of lack. It becomes sacred fuel, not desperate hunger. It becomes a fire that warms, not a fire that burns. So now you walk not in pursuit, but in remembrance, not with questions, but with knowing. And in that knowing, things unfold not because you push, but because you have become the invitation. You no longer knock on locked doors. You become the open door through which life walks freely, blessing everything it touches. And now the path is no longer something you follow, it is something you are. You begin to notice that life does not resist those who do not resist it, that the universe bends not for those who demand, but for those who harmonize. You are no longer at war with delay, for you understand that every pause is purposeful. You are no longer frustrated by the invisible, for you have learned to feel the sacred movements of what cannot be seen but always sensed. The invisible is no longer a void, it is the womb of all creation. Your energy begins to carry a quiet certainty, not loud, not boastful, just steady, grounded. Certain the way mountains are certain, not because they argue their place, but because they are unshakable by nature. This is what it means to manifest. Without striving, you do not move the world with force, you move it with your frequency. You do not chase alignment, you live from it. And when doubt visits, and it will, you do not resist it. You welcome it as you would a shadow cast by the rising Sunday. You let it speak, but you do not hand it the pen. You hold it gently, then let it go, knowing it is not you, it is only the echo of an old identity that no longer belongs. Doubt does not mean you are off path, it means you are growing beyond what your mind once knew. And growth, real growth, always feels like shedding, always feels like spaciousness and trembling at once. This is the holy tension of becoming when your soul expands faster than your story can keep up. And in that in-between, where the old has fallen away but the new is not yet formed, you are asked not to build but to believe. To trust that the form will follow the frequency, that the outer will mirror the inner, that the unknown is not a threat but an altar, and as you stand upon it, you are not waiting, you are worshiping, you are aligning, you are allowing. And then without drama, without announcement, what you've been holding within begins to shape itself into matter. The invisible makes itself seen, the formless finds form. And it is not surprising, it is not shocking, it feels somehow inevitable. Because it is not arriving from outside, it is emerging from you. It is the outer echo of your inner yes. And when it comes, you do not clutch it, you do not worship it, you do not fear losing it, because it is not the thing that holds power, it is you. It is the state from which you called it forth that matters. And because that state is unshakable, the form may come and go, but your peace remains. The manifestations become blessings, not attachments, gifts, not gods. This is true freedom, not the ability to control life, but the willingness to trust it. Not the promise that you'll never lack, but the knowing that nothing essential can ever be taken. That what is real, what is true, what is yours by vibration will always find you. Not because you chased it, but because you became still enough to receive it. And now, something profound settles in your chest, not excitement, not even joy in the ordinary sense, but a reverence so deep it softens every edge of your being. You are no longer seduced by what glitters, no longer baited by the promise of someday. You begin to notice that the miracle was never in the manifestation itself, but in who you became in its unfolding. You became someone who no longer doubts their place in the divine order, someone who no longer negotiates with worthiness, someone who knows that their desires are not random, they are sacred callings written into the soul by a force beyond time. You begin to understand that to manifest is not to attract more things, but to reveal more truth. Every true desire is a key not to get, but to unlock. A door opens within you each time you honor what you long for, not with desperation, but with devotion. You are no longer praying for the light, you are becoming the space in which it lands. And then you live differently. You eat with presence. You speak with intention. You move through your days as though everything is already holy, because it is. You stop waiting for evidence and begin to embody the outcome. You no longer think in terms of if but when not as entitlement, but as alignment. And this when is not somewhere off in the distance. It is folded into the breath you're taking now. It is here, it is close. Because the moment you feel it, you begin to see it. This is why you must feel first, not as performance, not as strategy, but as surrender. Let the vision descend into your body. Let it move through your limbs. Let it fill the silence between your thoughts until it becomes more real than anything you can touch. When the soul feels it, the world cannot help but obey. This is the true law. Reality bends to the vibration of unwavering inner clarity. And so you keep choosing, not once, but daily, hourly. You choose the vibration before the evidence. You choose peace before the problem resolves. You choose gratitude before the blessing arrives. Not because you're pretending, but because you're preparing your inner space for what is already on its way. And what is on its way is not just a change in circumstance, it is a transformation in being, because the more you live from this sacred space, the less the form even matters. You could have it or not have it and still be whole. You could gain or lose, rise or fall, and your center would not move. You are no longer identified with the fruit, you are identified with the root, and the root is eternal. And now everything begins to breathe with you. Time opens its arms. Synchronicity sings your name. Doors appear where there were none. Paths light up where there was only shadow. You become the living proof that alignment is the only work that matters, and that all else follows naturally, effortlessly, perfectly. Chat GPT Danoi. And now you arrive not at an end, but at a deeper beginning. Not at the summit of some climb, but at the still valley within, where all becoming ceases and all being begins. Here, manifestation no longer holds the weight of urgency, nor the ache of striving. It is not the goal, it is the fragrance that follows your alignment, the echo of your inner song sung into form. You look back and see that every desire was never about the object, but the invitation it carried, the invitation to come home. Home to your sacred self. Home to the knowing that nothing outside you could ever complete what was never incomplete. That the love you sought in another was your soul asking to be seen. That the wealth you chased in the world was your spirit remembering its infinite worth. That the peace you longed for was not a place to arrive, but a presence to become. And so you rest not in passivity, but in power. The kind of power that comes not from control, but from communion. Communion with the source that breathes you. Communion with the silence that holds you. Communion with the divine rhythm you now trust to carry your life like a sacred river, winding not toward a destination, but deeper into the truth of who you are. You begin to live without the noise of needing, and in that silence, everything comes. Not as a test, not as a reward, but as a reflection, a mirror held up to your wholeness, a gift from the unseen saying, yes, beloved, this is you. This has always been you. And you receive not from lack, not from fear, but from the spacious joy of remembrance. You do not fear the future now, for you are no longer walking into the unknown. You are walking with the known self who creates the future with every breath. You are not hoping to manifest. You are manifesting in your very way of being. You are not asking life to change. You are becoming the change through which life reveals itself as holy. And still, you ask nothing of the world, because your soul no longer trades its light for outcomes. It no longer waits for conditions to align before it sings. You sing because you are the song. You shine because you are the Sunday. You love because you are the field in which love was born. And so it is. You are no longer the seeker. You are the source. You are no longer reaching. You are radiating. You are no longer wondering how. You are living the howlessness of grace. Everything that once felt distant is now felt as breath. Everything that once seemed beyond is now folded into your presence. You are here. You are whole. You are the manifestation. And the moment you know this, not with your mind, but with your being, you become the miracle that makes the impossible look inevitable. There is nothing left to seek, only something sacred to live. So leave it. Live it with presence. Live it with reverence. Live it with the knowing that everything you have ever desired was simply you calling yourself home. And now you are home. And now you are free. And now you are.